Ryan Songalia here with Mary Jobaida. You're a candidate for New York State Assembly in District 37 here in Queens. First off, we have some news to talk about. You're back on the ballot as of Monday with a Queens Supreme Court judge stating, in a county as diverse as Queens with many exotic and unfamiliar names, an expansive view must be taken of what is familiar or diminutive. Tell me, how was the process of getting back on the ballot after being initially removed?
That is definitely a cool fight by with the board of election. Now, when we run, I personally had a dream to create an inclusive, equitable New York, and then we started a very good campaign. It is growing and it is very good. And all of a sudden, I found out actually forget about creating the New York inclusive New York State. I myself is not included because the board of election sent me the confirmation that my name on the ballot is going to be Mary Jobaida, and then send me another letter with the transliteration written in Korean and another one in Chinese. So I received pretty much three letters of confirmation that my name, Mary Jobaida, is going to be on ballot, and this is how they're going to be written on it. Then suddenly I got a notice that, okay, it doesn't match with the voter registration, so they're taking my name off. And I was out of nowhere. If there was an issue, that should have um, they should have let me know earlier, like when I filed for election, when I filed for this committee, or at least before I started the petitioning. That shouldn't have been done when all the confirmations are done and I was just ready for the June 23rd election. So, and in the meantime, we knew about this election law that candidates can run with with their nicknames or personal and professional names other than their legal names. It happened, Bill Clinton, his name is William Clinton. And another case was like there was a man, his name was Anatoly Eisenberg, and written like EZY and BERG like that. And then that man ran as Tony Eisenberg, and Eisenberg was written differently. So he also needed to go to the court. He was my predecessor, I would say. Like he already cleared the path for me. So he went to the court and at one time, long ago, and he won. The court ruled in favor of him, and he ran as Tony Eisenberg. You know that Anatoly has nothing to do with Tony. So I appreciated that the court ruled in his favor because what our nickname is gonna be, what our other name is gonna be, or whether they're matching or diminutive, whatever. Like it has nothing to do with the board of election. It is something to do with our parents when they named us and what they wanted to call us, with our family members, our siblings, our neighbors, our friends. It should not be the board of election deciding after 40 years of my life, like about 40 years of my life, that okay, from today on you cannot have this kind of name because in our ears it doesn't sound right. So that was a very strong fight, and I'm happy that that the thing that I always felt, that in this country, in this state, we still have this problem of discrimination and subtle ways sometimes. But in this case, it was very clearly visible. It opened it up that yes, it has been there sitting very comfortably, that we needed to fight to get our names on the ballot. And we are very grateful to the attorney um, who fought on our behalf, and also grateful to have the great judge that who put our names back and who did the right things and who served justice.
Um, so you were born and raised in a rural village in Bangladesh. You came to America in 2001. You were the founding programming director of Time Television, which is the first Bangladeshi TV HD TV network in New York. How much does your background and experience influence your politics?
I think it has very little to do with Time Television and founding Time Television. It's more like since my childhood, I was always an activist. Wherever I would see something injustice going on, I would speak up. I would physically um, put myself as a barrier between injustice and the victims. So uh, yeah, I think that was more of it. Like since childhood, I was, even though I grew up in the village, that village people, they have different customs. A lot of things are beautiful, but in the meantime, they're also very open to racism and then discriminations. Like power, the people with power can easily abuse their power to hurt the weak ones. So I was always there to align myself with the weak ones. And when I came back to New York, with a lot of things, a lot of beautiful things I got in my life. You can see that I grew up in a rural village, but in this country, I was able to go to college to earn education, and had a I dared to found the Time Television with other founders, co-founded. So those kind of things are beautiful, that only, I guess, only in America it is possible. In the meantime, I have also seen the subtle discriminations and the struggles of the low income and poor people, and then discriminations when it comes to funding and other resources to neighborhoods based on which neighborhoods people are, based on the zip codes that earn more money or less money. Even for the children and schools, for example, like where if children grow up with parents and in a zip code where families earn less money, those schools are the struggling ones, those to get to receive fundings. So a lot of things I also found in this country, in this state, that bothered me a lot too. And lately, the reason that I entered in politics was mostly my experience in living all my American lives in Long Island City, in this District 37, and witnessing all the disturbing changes that has been happening over almost for a decade. I mean,
Mhm.
for over 10 years. And I realized that those things are happening because those in politics have been sitting there comfortably for too long to be connected with people, to understand what the people need, to know the struggle of the people who are living in this district. For example, I worked in the Bronx for the last 2.5 years. I needed to ride the trains. I saw how overcrowded the trains were. I needed to pass 3, 4 trains before uh, getting a chance to squeeze my body in, in the train. So those experience the elected officials will not have unless they have been going through the same experience like mine. We have schools in this district very overcrowded. When I took my second born to the school, she wasn't placed. She didn't receive any admission. She was placed on a wait list with 59th rank. So you can imagine like what a crazy situation going on in this zonal school for the people who have been living here. So those experiences are not known to people who do not have children in school, who do not have this experience living in this neighborhood. Uh, so I have been going through this thing, and I realized like because of the way the politics is so stuck and democracy is absent in our district, I recognize that for the last 10 years, there was no democratic election in my district, in District 37. So since no one was running, and I was not actually planning to enter politics. I was a social activist. I wanted to remain that way. It is not easy to run for politics when you're a low-income mother of three. You understand the barrier. And also the state election is even tougher because it doesn't have any matching fund. It doesn't have public financing. So it depends upon completely on the donors who are giving a dollar. Donation means a dollar only. There's no matching fund, no other additional money coming in. So with all those things and my background that I grew up in a village, then all the layers of hardships that I needed to cross to come here, and then to be who I am today, and my feeling of gratitude, my feeling to give back, everything together put myself in a way that I decided, okay, I will undertake this sacrifice and I will stand for the people who have accepted me um, as who I was when I came here right after 9/11, and who have helped me to grow who I am today. And so I decided to be with my people and to fight for them, to change and bring democracy, to end inequality, to end class disparity, and to create a New York State that will be equitable, inclusive, and that will serve all the people, not only the few.
Who are some of the other politicians that you admire, that you look up to? Are there other politicians, maybe city, state, national, or beyond, that you look up to?
A lot of them are doing amazing work. Bernie Sanders being number one. We all dream as if him as a father figure and the teacher who taught us what is good and who also taught us how to achieve it. who showed us the potential. It is possible. So we have a great heart filled with gratitude to him, whether he is taking it forward or not. But he has brought it to a point that we believe in it, that it is possible for us to achieve those goals. Secondly, in New York State, we also have our other pioneers like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for example. Like amazing leader, truly caring people's leader. And we definitely admire her, and we want to see more elected officials like her. Jessica Ramos, she's been working for the people, and he fought for the people, and he is still fighting for the people. So yes, we do have some in our state level too, and we are looking forward to have more and more people who will fight for people, not for the interest group, who will be fierce leaders, who will not, who are going to be bold in the face of those interest group who want to exploit our people, who want to sell our people for profit. We want to see more and more of those leaders.
Mhm. Right now, this is an unprecedented situation that we're in with the pandemic. We're seeing both the health and the economic impacts that it's having,
By
not
the way,
just on our city.
Julia Salazar and Biaggi, Coincidentally, I am probably naming a lot of women here.
Yeah, I did notice that just a little bit. But yeah, no, we're in an unprecedented time right now. There's, a lot of economic hardship because of this pandemic, in addition to the health impact as well. Saying like right now, if you were the assemblywoman right now in your district, how would you how would you approach this? What steps would you want to take to fix the situation?
First thing is when a uh, great hardship comes, like this pandemic. This is not only in New York City or state; it's all over the world. So in that case, we all should be together to make sure that we survive. The first thing is going to be our survival thing, like to stay alive, like as many as people as possible to minimize the death death numbers now. So that will be the number one goal, to do all the precaution, to make healthcare available to each and everyone, regardless of who they are, whether they have healthcare or not, insurance or not, whether they're documented or not. Each and everyone should have the healthcare, because when a disease, contagious disease, come to our community, it doesn't look for who is documented and who is not. And we are also not prone because some of us are documented, some of us are not. So that will be the number one thing. And number two will be like to make sure that each of the people, when they are staying home under lockdown, in isolation, they have food and all the essentials they need to survive during this time, to pass this time until they go back to work, and they're able to work and earn money. We have to make sure that we are not putting extra hardship upon people with unnecessary tension, like paying rent at this moment. When people, especially people, low income people who are living paycheck to paycheck, they're not able to work. They're not supposed to be able to pay the rent when they're not able to work. So we have to make sure that we cancel the rent for the time being until we can guarantee them that yes, they're able to go back to work, and until the first check or second check they receive that will allow them to pay the rent. So things like that should be taken, and I would have taken those things. Still now I'm vocal. I'm asking Governor Kumo to cancel rent and to make sure that the healthcare is available for each and everyone. If you see the death statistic coming, those people from low income community, those people who have less access to healthcare, those people are the ones who are dying in great number and disproportionately. So it is telling us this pandemic actually also opened the inequality that we have been holding in this state very openly, very nakedly now. Um, and once we do all those things, we also have to be prepared for the cleanup. Like once the pandemic is over, how we can put our people back in productive and normal lives. And we have to make sure that all kind of supports are available, including the mental health, because it's not easy to stay home. it is not easy to stay home in uncertainty whether they will be back to normal life ever again, whether they will be able to join a workforce soon. So a lot of tensions are here. We have people who are living with children. We have elderly who are not able to go out. As you can see, they started to stay in isolation even longer than us who have been out. And then we have so many people with so many issues, economic, emotional, physical. So we have to make sure as a state we meet all of their worries and tensions, and we have to make sure that we provide our people with all kind of supports that they can go back to as normal life as possible after this pandemic.
I want to also ask you about your opponent, Catherine Nolan. She was first elected to the Assembly in 1984. Um, so I assume that she would have some name, or at least a name recognition advantage in the community. Now that you're not able to go out and canvass and knock on doors the way that many other candidates previously would have been, how are you? What is your strategy right now to get in front of voters and to make your case for why you should be the nominee?
I will agree with you that yes, this pandemic is not only hurting the people of New York, it is also hurting our democracy. Especially this time, you can see that a lot of new challenges, new people are running for offices. Those people came with hope to bring changes. To a lot of places did not see democracy for a long time, like my own district. So we have been looking for. We hope that that will change, no matter whether pandemic time or not. We cannot jeopardize pandemic and our democracy and exchange with this thing. So people have been our strength, which is true. Like going to directly talking to people and letting them know about the issues and platform, which is greatly hard by this pandemic. But we, the people who are activists, who are always busy, engaged in communities, and we went to events. We have been always there for people to know what kind of help they needed. Like I have been always an activist to know any kind of help. I didn't hold any office, so I was available for if somebody needed to know how to enroll in college, if somebody needed to know how to access, um, help for food or housing or healthcare. I have been helping people with those things. So I have been continuing to do this thing during this pandemic. I have been helping people to giving them resources and connections to filing for unemployment and finding business loans, those kind of things. And also we are checking on our people to know that whether they have food, medicines, and other essentials during this pandemic. So we have our own ways to connect with our voters and people. Maybe back in time we were like um, more open and we had more options on the table. But with the people who have been in the community to help people, we continue our help. So as a result, this help are also connecting us to those people, and they are getting to know that we are not only helping us the way we used to do, we are also running for offices, and there is opportunity if they want, they can vote for us. So those information is also out as we do those kind of activities. We also carry our campaign matches, so and also encourage people to organize and vote. So maybe mostly like text banking, phone banking, those are going to be our platform to reach out, because we are insurgent campaign, and we are also running people powered campaign. We're not taking any money from any interest group, no money from fossil fuel industry or corporate PAC or real estate developers who hurt our community the most. So we do not have the much money like our opponent, who is taking all kind of money. She took real estate money even during this cycle. So we don't have that much money, but we definitely have people with us, and that is our strength, and that is what we're looking forward to. We want to make sure that we use the phone banking, text banking, and any other ways out there to connect with our voters and to let them know that we are running and the campaign is out.
Yeah, actually, I noticed that on your site that you had previously worked as an outreach specialist at a network of health centers. So I guess that kind of training serves you well here. Last couple questions I want to ask you, because you mentioned your opponent taking real estate money. For a lot of people who are not like political junkies, who are not following every election, they might say, "Oh, why should I turn out for a Democratic primary? The Democrat's going to win." How would you? What is the case that you make to differentiate yourself from the incumbent, Catherine Nolan?
Number one thing is going to be democracy. I am putting a name. I'm being people's choice, because back in time they went to a poll center. They didn't have any choice except from only one name sitting there for a long time. So democracy has been absent from this district. After 10 years of undemocratic election, I am for the first time challenging this incumbent and put a name for them as an option. That is number one differences. Number two, she she has been sitting there. She was very disconnected from the community. She has very little to no experience of what is experience of real life people living in this district, what kind of hardship they have been going through. When I campaigned, I met people, we were canvassing. People do not know even there is a position called assembly, and what is the role of an assemblyman. We needed to educate people one-on-one to let them know that it matters and what kind of differences they can make, an assemblyman can make, as long as people are involved and they choose the right assembly member. So I believe in term limits. I believe in participatory democracy, and I believe in people's power. So I am proposing term limits in all state elected offices, so that no one can hold office for that long time, and no one can be not accountable to people. So I propose accountability, transparency. That the incumbent did not propose those things. So I'm like, I will not. What incumbent has done over those years was she sent us a newsletter. That newsletter says what she has done for people or for whatever. But I plan to engage people, not to let them know what I have done, to ask them what they want me to do for them. So I will engage them in two ways. First, what they want me to do, and second, whether I have done those things. So those are the things I look forward to do, and I will make sure that what I say it is true. So I will put term limit upon myself too. I'll not run for this office and hold this office for the amount of time that my opponent did. I believe in term limits, and I offer my people this beauty of democracy, and then I want to put that power back in their hands.
And last question, I just want to ask you, if you are in office and we can look past this emergency pandemic, I'm looking at your website, climate and environmental justice, you've mentioned, housing, you believe it should be a right as well. Universal health care, some of the things that you've mentioned there. It sounds like a progressive platform. What specific policies do you want to try to push if you become an assembly member?
Everything that is put on my flyer, from climate, housing, to all the way to universal childcare and extending paid parental leaves, everything matters. But also, like, because because my district is District 37, climate is a big issue here. The fossil fuel industry is a big problem for us. You can see that we have the largest power plant next to our largest public housing, nature. Both of them are side by side, and it's not for no coincidence. And our people who live in nature are growing up, living with those toxic pollution emanating from those power plants. So the earlier we close them, is better for the health of our people. Then housing is a big issue. The way I'm not taking the real estate money, on the orchard of our incumbents, the real estate developers have been destroyed our neighborhoods completely. They made this neighborhood so pricey, and people cannot live here. People are self-deporting from here, and once they self-deport from this neighborhood, then nowhere in New York is affordable for them anymore. So this thing happened because of the reckless profit interest of those developers. So we have to make sure that we put a bar there. No developers are able to destroy our communities. No developers are able to make profits out of the misery of our people. For the school, for example, like I advocate uh, inclusive schools where all of our children have the right access and high and resources and higher quality to education, no matter which zip code they're living in or which parents are raising them. They are our New York State children. They are, all of them are our children. Nobody's exception here. Each of them are our children. So we have to make sure we provide them the right and equal resources to reach their potential. There are two other issues that I'm working on, and that's my exclusive. Those two are, one is universal childcare, and another is extending paid parental leaves. I have worked with low-income people as a healthcare worker. I have seen the struggle of those people. The both parents working hard, 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, is still not being able to bring home enough money to buy food or pay the rents. And those struggling parents, children who are born to those struggling parents, are not having the exact amount of care and opportunity that our affluent parents are giving to their children. So, but my point is, children do not decide which parents they're born to. They're totally involuntarily born to different parents. But no matter what parents or what neighborhoods they're born, they all are our children. So as a New York State, we have to make sure each of our children are treated fairly. So I am offering this extending this paid parental leaves to all the way to first 12 months of each child's life. It's like investing for our future. Those children are our New York children, and those children are New York. What is New York without people? And what is people without our children who are raising now? So we have to make sure that they have the right quality lives starting from infancy. So I want to put this option for the parents. If they want, they can take, one parent can take this 12 paid month to take care of our beautiful New York children and infants. And then I'm also offering universal childcare, because even with those options, you know that when you say paid parental leaves, it sounds cool, but it doesn't give the full check. It has a limit up to how much we're going to be paying. That paid check may not be bringing them enough money to pay the rent and other essentials, for the other essentials. As a result, the parent may still need to go back to work. So childcare is very expensive, and a lot of children are suffering because of the expensive childcare, the parents and children both. Because once the parents are under pressure to earn extra money to fund childcare, they cannot provide peaceful childcare to their children, or even for their work. They cannot be peaceful. They cannot work with peace in their mind. So I am offering this quality, subsidized work-free childcare for all the working parents, so that they have a place where they can leave their children with peace of mind in really great hands, where the children will also receive very high quality of services, and they will have, if not 100% equal lives, at least closer to those children who are growing up in rich parents. You know that when rich parents become parent, at least one parent can give up their job and can take care, and it's still enough money to pass the whole year. But when poor parents are becoming parents, it seems like one extra additional burden in the family, and everything, the sky falls upon them. So we have to make sure that we make the living a little bit easier for um, all our low income and middle income people too, poor people too, because they are our New Yorkers. They are the majority of our New Yorkers. They are New York. They're the true face of New York. So we have to make sure that we provide them those services. So these two are something that I want to work as a mother of three. I know the struggle here. I know the hardships. So I want to make sure that my children are growing up. I probably don't need childcare anymore, even though you saw the little one here. Uh, but I have an older one to stay with him. But when I face those hardships, I want to make sure that no other mother, no other parent, no other fathers are facing the same hardships that I have struggled with. We want to stop that hardships for our other New Yorkers. Yeah. Mm.
Well,
And
very.
other platforms, as I said, like those, including the election reforms, to make sure that we have public financing of state elections, so that more people more people who are coming with true interest to serve their country, to serve their people, have that opportunity, the dare to run for office. They're not scared by this hardship that, well, where they're going to be having the finance to run for office. It is extremely tough, and as you can see, the extra roadblocks the system is giving, the structural system that is actually discouraging people to run for office. And when people do run for office, like myself, and there are extra roadblocks and extra problems they're putting ahead of those candidates, so that they give up. They get frustrated and they give up. Not everybody, you can see how many candidates were dropped by the Board of Election. Not everybody made it to the court, like myself and the other candidate who did with me. Not everybody went to the court to fight for our rights to be on the ballot. A lot of candidates dropped because, they accepted the Board of Elections decision, and they gave up. It is very frustrating. Like when you are an insurgent candidate or you are a first-time candidate, seems like the system itself seems built in a way that to discourage and put hardships from all over, instead of at least encouraging that, yes, these candidates are doing great job, that they are taking this hardships, they're undertaking the sacrifices to serve this community, to serve the country. Instead of that, they're constantly putting barriers in front of those candidates. So I want to propose, the proposal is already there. I'm supporting this public financing of state of elections, so that these candidates are having a little bit of ease, and they also can, more people can dare to run, and then also to put the term limits, so that nobody holds offices for that long time. If there is a leader, the true leader who loves the country, who loves the people, who loves the community, that leader should always be prepared to find more people around him or her, to make sure that in her or his absence there are more people to serve this community, to serve the country and state and city. But instead of that, because there is no term limits, because sitting in offices has become so comfortable, those elected officials, instead of nurturing new leaderships, encouraging more democratic practices, they discourage us. They in to hold the offices for the lifelong. Who do you think the people who care for democracy and the people who have been even with them, instead of like doing their job, I mean, running for office or serving the community, there are like two things I consider. One is responsibility, another is a right. So it's a person's right and responsibility both to serve the community. So because of those incumbents sitting there for decades, people are deprived of both rights and responsibilities to join this force to serve the communities. So I want to make sure that I propose this thing, that no one should be holding the office for that long time, so that more and more people will be inspired to serve the community and put their energy for the good, to help democracy continue. I mean, yeah, currently you can see that it's a paralyzed democracy in New York. When somebody is holding office for 4 or 5 decades, the democracy is, if not dead totally, is actually permanently paralyzed there. Somebody needs to treat those democracy and bring back those democracy. And we, the insurgent candidates, I thank all the first-time candidates and all the insurgent candidates who are running. But I know the sacrifice they are undergoing. I myself, as a candidate, I understand absolutely. And I'm so grateful that these new people, these young people are now coming forward to serve their country, serve their people and community.
Well, there you have it. Mary Jobaida, you're a candidate for New York State Assembly in District 37 from Long Island City in Queens. Your election's on June 23rd. Thank you very much for your time, and look forward to speaking with you again in the future.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all of your viewers who are watching. In the meantime, that during this is COVID-19 pandemic time, I am in solidarity with all of you who are staying home patiently, who are missing going outside, talking to people, who are missing hugs and human touches. But I want to I want to tell all of you that is for the time being. We are very resilient in New York, and we're gonna get through it together. We are in different locations. We are probably alone. Yeah, we are probably alone in our own locations, but we are still connected with this feeling of togetherness. We are together, and we are not lonely. So if you, for whatever reason, are feeling lonely or alone, connect with other friends, families, and social media people. Through social media or phone, Skype, Zoom, whichever means you can afford. Don't feel lonely. Don't feel lonely, and also believe that no matter how hard it is going to be, or no matter how difficult it seems for now, we New Yorkers, we're going to get through this together, and we'll build from wherever we are left. Thank you.